Hey, welcome to Module 4.4, Getting Link Prospects to Perceive You as an Authority, Spring Cleaning Your Social Media Accounts. Yeah, you may have a little work ahead of you. If you're like me, you do at least. Because I had a lot of work ahead of me before I could start reaching out to golden prospects from my Twitter account. And Twitter is a huge tool for link builders. And I've had a few questions so far about Twitter. So, hey, when are you going to get into Twitter and how to use Twitter? And I was like, that's a good question. I would have liked to have gotten into it already, but we're going to get into that in the videos following these. So, but before you can start reaching out to your golden prospects, because you want them to perceive you as an authority, because if they do, you'll have a better chance at earning the link, and that's a good thing. Let's talk about getting your social media accounts ready for reaching out to link prospects. What are some of the things that you need to do to your social media accounts to make sure that you're not going to blow your chance with your golden prospect? And this is something that I'm pretty sure that was hurting me in the past until I learned how to correct it, and I'll just show you how I corrected it. And this is something you should do too. All right, if your Twitter account was as ugly as mine was. All right, so let's talk. Why do we need to do this? Because when we reach out to our prospects, they're first going to see our social media accounts, because most likely the first time they're going to come in contact with us or even know that we exist is going to be through us reaching out to them on social media, usually Twitter. So if we're reaching out to them, what does that mean? It means that we better have our Twitter account ready. Otherwise, if our Twitter account looks like garbage, if it looks spammy, if we have a stupid bio and we don't have a good picture up, and it's going to be really hard to get that prospect to click over to your website to even see your virtual classroom. So remember, all this stuff matters. We only have one chance at a first impression, and first impressions mean a lot to golden prospects and even link prospects, silver prospects, because they have a filter and they have to decide, okay, what are you in or out? And if they see something that's wrong on your Twitter account, you're going to be out. Out, Jack. All right, let's talk about what you can do to spring clean your. Uh-oh. All right. Gee whiz. Don't peek. I hope you didn't peek. I was spoiling the ending to this video. All right, some of these are obvious. No spam. What's spam? I view spam on Twitter as anything you're trying to sell something of your own. It's spammy. It's not really going to get you the results you want anyway. You ever go to somebody's Twitter account and they're just giving coupon codes and they're just giving discounts just constantly, and it just is a turnoff. And they do it because their followers will be on at different times of the day, so it's worth reposting because different followers will be on different times, so they want to get the maximum amount of people to their ads and using their coupon codes, so they post just 24/7 their coupon codes. Well, that's ugly. And it makes you look kind of desperate, where all you're doing is just spamming out your promo, your link, your sales. It kind of like, buy for me, 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 buy for me. It's like those seagulls on Finding Nemo. Mine, 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 mine. That's what link builders are like. Mine, 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 and people on Twitter that the amateurs, mine, they're just trying to get something, and it just doesn't work. So if you go onto your Twitter account and you can see any advertisements where you're trying to pitch something, get rid of it, delete it before you reach out to your golden prospect. You'll be happier if you do. Now, if you're prone to whining, which I'm sometimes used to be, and so on certain topics, sometimes I'll whine. And usually it's like whining masked as anger, outright, where I'm indignant, but really I'm whining. And because it makes you look like a sad sap. No one wants to hang out with a sad sap, right? Right. All right. That means no political posts. And depending on your niche, though, most political posts, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, is full of whining. You don't want to whine. You know, if you're upset about climate change, get on another Twitter account. Don't use that Twitter account to go after link prospects, because they may not think the same on you. They may think something different, and whether you're right or they're right, you're just going to lose an opportunity. Now, unless you use that as a selling point where you're only reaching out. So if you're a conservative, if you're on the right side of the aisle, and you believe in all your prospects, you know for a fact are from the same side of the aisle, and then that can kind of establish yourself in your industry as being maybe even a good selling point. But for the most part, it's best just to not talk about anything political. And I make that mistake even still today. And I'll give you a perfect example. I saw Joost de Valk, and I had disagreed with something politically he posted. And he's my Colton prospect, and I got into a political spat with him. And it's just like, you dummy, Matt, why'd you do that? So, and it came across as kind of as whining. And so, don't do it. Keep the political stuff off your Twitter, and keep your whining off of it. I mean, the people want to hang out. This is about networking. They don't want to see your political rants, even if they agree with you, because sometimes you can agree with somebody be on the same side of the aisle that's posting political, but if they're posting something about the other side that makes you angry, now that person becomes a nuisance, because every time they post something, even if you agree with it, you're getting angry. And so I just hate seeing political posts. And if there's anger involved, whining involved, it's just best not to do that. And obviously, no selling. Let's move on. No whining. And no selling. The only thing you want to sell is the fact you're a teacher. You're a teacher, and you like to network, and you like to mingle with your contemporaries. That's what you should be selling on your social media accounts. And because no one's going to see your social post and click on it and buy something from you. They're just not going to do it. I guess depending on who you are and what your brand is. But for 99% of the people watching this, it's not going to happen. All it is going to do is clutter up your game and make it's like you got to clean the place up. When John F. Kennedy went to Dallas, and where he was shot, and everybody in Dallas was so excited about him coming down, and I wasn't born then, so no old man jokes. And but everybody was excited about him coming down with the First Lady and traveling through their neighborhood. So everybody was painting their houses. The place looked spectacular, especially if they knew they were going to be in the president's path. They really just went all out to make their houses look beautiful. And even people that were in other parts of the city where the president wasn't going to drive by, they did the same thing. They cleaned up their act. They painted their houses. They were proud to have the president come. Now, as you set up your Twitter accounts, it's the same way. You got somebody important coming over, and you might have your dirty socks or your underwear sitting in the living room next to some beefaroni cans and some other stuff. You got to clean the place up. And so anything where you're selling on your Twitter account, I would go back and delete those. Get rid of them. Any political posts, delete them. And same with whining. Well, the weather sucks today. Well, that's whining. Or my rankings went down, or whatever. That's whining. Just none of that. Just none of this. And obviously, no spam, no selling. I guess I could have put this like here, there. All right. Now, follower to follow ratio. This is probably the thing that derailed me the most until I figured out that I was a knucklehead, and then I turned it into a selling point. Let me go to my Twitter page. And it's funny that this is exactly what happened, and with Eric. So here's my Twitter. I got to change that picture. But anyway, here's my Twitter. First of all, I'm not using my logo as my profile page. I got a fun little page with my daughter on my shoulders. So right there, that shows that I'm personable and that you can approach me. This one just shows that I look like a square. Yeah, that picture's gonna get changed. But anyway, look at this. I am following 149 people, and I have 11,000 followers. That's a good ratio, right? That makes it look like, man, everybody's following Matt. He's awesome. And most of those followers came when I was in the black hat industry, and I was just making bank, and I had, like I've said before, we were literally running 10,000 campaigns, and some were multiple campaigns, but I want to say probably 7,500 clients, 10,000 campaigns. And so a lot of people knew who I was, and they were following me. But I also used to follow people to hoping that they would follow me back when I was first messing around with Twitter. I wanted to get a big following like everybody else. So I followed people, and they would follow me back. And at one time, I think I had 10,000. I think I had 10,000 people that I was following, and they were following me back. So it was like it would have been like 10,000 on following and 10,000 there. Well, that becomes obvious what I'm doing. I'm following people to get them to follow me back. If you're out of whack in this ratio, where this number is equal to this number, or it's anywhere close to it, you're going to look like you're desperate, that you're just trying to get followers any way you can. And so it's not exactly a great way to portray yourself as you're reaching out as an expert, because you're looking like your follower and following ratio is going to be making you look like an amateur. And that's not an authority. So we've all made that mistake for the most part, unless you really have a big following. What you can do is there's Twitter tools that you can use where you can start unfollowing. Manage Flitter is one of them, where you start unfollowing some of the people that you're following. And there's a surprising thing will happen is you can, and who do you unfollow? Manage Flitter will let you unfollow people who haven't been on Twitter in 6 months or 3 months. They're no longer posting. So you can get rid of them because they're not even reading anything anyway. They're inactive. You can get rid of the fake accounts. You can get rid of the spammy quick following, because there's a good chance if you're following a lot of people, you're following some spam accounts. So you can get rid of the spam accounts and just start whittling that list down so it's not equal. And I really think that it should be as low as possible. Even if like 3,000 and 11,000, that would be out of whack still, because there's no way I can follow 3,000 people. There's no way I can keep track of them on the feed. As soon as one would post something, the other feeds would just drown it out. And that's why I hated Twitter for a long time, because I was following like 9,000, 10,000 people. So Twitter was just a mess, as you can imagine. So now what happened is, after I went and started cleaning up the dormant accounts, I cleaned up the spam accounts. I even cleaned out the sites that had no English, that never posted English. And Manage Flitter did that for me for very cheap, and it was very easy to do. And also, you want to get rid of quit following anybody who's not following you back, because even if it's equal, there's a good portion of people who are not following you back. So get that number down as far as possible. And what will happen is some people will unfollow you. They will. You know, when you unfollow me, I'll unfollow you. And they'll know when you unfollow them. But they won't be upset with you. they don't even know who you are. They've probably never even seen your tweets if you're following that many people, and they are too. But your follower count will go down, but it will not go down drastically, because some of the people are dormant. So you can have an account that looks like mine, but in reality, I didn't start out following 149 people. I started out following 10,000 people. But look how clean this looks. You can clean your act up. Just because I was a knucklehead back when Twitter came out, and I don't know how long ago it was. What, 10 years? I don't know. It was a long time ago, and everybody was playing with it, and I said, wow, this might be a good way to make money. I might be able to sell ebooks on this. And that's why I was trying to get a big following, and I was testing it. And it just never really did anything, so I set it aside. And I didn't resurrect this Twitter account until I started reaching out to Eric as my golden prospect to link over to my site. And I knew that he was going to look at my following to follower ratio. And so what does that mean? And it meant that, hey, I made a mistake, but I cleaned up my act. Before I got a shave and a haircut and took a shower and brushed my teeth before reaching out to my golden prospect. So give your Twitter, if your numbers are out of whack, if you're following just as many people as your followers, try to get your following down to under 100 or 200 people. If you do that, what'll happen is, the people that you really want to hear from on Twitter and watch your stuff, what you do is you only follow your golden prospects. So the only tweets you ever see when you log into Twitter are your golden prospects. That way you can spend time with them. That way you can see their tweets, and it doesn't get flooded out by all that other garbage. So that was like a side effect that I didn't even realize that would happen as I cleaned up my Twitter account. I was just trying to get that ratio so it wasn't so ugly, because I knew that it just reeked of amateur. It was Amateurville. And so get that cleaned up, and that'll make Twitter a big tool for you to use. And I'm going to show you how to use Twitter to get links in a later video in this module. But before you reach out to do that, get this cleaned up. Manage Flitter is really easy. Let me make sure they're still around. Manage Flitter. I almost started singing. Must be giddy. I never sing in front of other. All right, manageflitter.com. That's the tool you want to go to. My sister's Skyping me, telling me something was wrong in the last video. And then all you do is, when you're there, hit start and be logged into your Twitter account. And you can even start with their free account and start cleaning up with just their free account and play around with it. Then you might want to check out some of their plans. I don't recall them being very expensive. You only need to clean up once, right? And then you don't just follow a bunch of people anymore. You could do, for like the pro is like $12 a month, and you can probably get cleaned up on the free. They'll allow you to do more cleanup, I think, and there's limited daily unfollows, and they know why you're buying it. You're doing it to unfollow people and then clean up your Twitter account. So I would probably say the $12 a month if you have a lot of people to unfollow. And then that way you'll just get that taken care of, and then you could probably cancel it if you don't like the other. There's some other cool things in there I never used, but and some of it is it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of fun to play around with. But I only did it to clean up my account. So clean up your account. But it was funny when Eric wasn't following me, and I was talking to him on the telephone or on Skype, and he goes, "Wait a minute, am I following you on Twitter?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, that's rude of me. Let me go check your account out." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I did this." And then he said, "Oh, okay, you're obviously not a spammer. You don't have like 10,000, or you didn't say 10, the exact number I used to have, but he said, you don't have 1 million people you're following. So you're not a spammer. Let me go down, look through your page." And you said, you're not a spammer. And then he goes, "Yeah, I'll follow you." And then click. But it was funny that the very thing I'm teaching you in this particular video, and I knew that would make me look like an amateur when I was reaching out to him and other golden prospects, was the simple fact that my ratio made me look like an amateur. So before you reach out, get that cleaned up. All right, I'll see you next video.